trying to lose my virginity. 500 videos before that where you're trying to fine-tune everything.
She sends thumbs up, not thumbs down. First Instagram now, no internet banking.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Yeah, no. How's your week been? No, I'm joking, folks. So I'm going to be on holiday next week, so we're filming 2 episodes. This should come out. When this comes out, I'll be sipping cocktails in La Palma.
So, one thing that we didn't actually speak about in the previous episode, an hour ago, which we was chatting about before we come on air, is about you've been watching House of Dragons.
Yes, I have. Have you?
Yeah, I haven't watched this week's episode. Have you?
Should we? You should have, because we could have stayed up tonight and watched the American release. You know, it comes out Sunday nights, American time. We could have watched it at like...
Oh, had a cute little sleepover. make a blanket full.
Exactly. Yeah, what do you think so far of the 2 episodes?
I think it's sick. Mind you saying that, the actual Game of Thrones was still like unreal when that first few episodes, but I think I actually prefer these 2 episodes to Game of Thrones' first few episodes, and I remember them quite well. I've watched Game of Thrones like 3 times through, so...
Game of Thrones is without a doubt the best thing I've ever watched, right? But it took me 3 attempts to start watching it. Because,
really?
Yep. Like you've just said about, I enjoyed the first couple more. I didn't. I say the episodes, I didn't get past the first few minutes twice because I thought it just looked fucking low budget and shit. I think there's a scene right at the beginning, right? There over the wall. There's a few of the, what are the guys at the wall called? Night's Watch. Night's Watch, yeah. There's a few Night's Watched over the... That's how the series starts. Before you see Sean Bean and Jon Snow and all of them, they're over the wall, right? And one of them gets killed by a White Walker. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I thought the White Walker looked horrific. Like, I thought it looked really low budget compared to what it looked like in the later seasons. It literally, on 2 occasions, over a period of a few months, I tried to watch it and didn't, because after that happened, I would turn it off because I just thought this looks low budget and shit. And then I think at the time there was sort of 2 or 3 seasons out and everyone was raving about it, so I was just like, right, I'm going to ignore this first few minutes and just go through. Do you get what I mean though? Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
The White Walkers look really low budget, and it literally looks like a man in a suit, in a horror suit type thing, do you know what I mean? Whereas in the later series they look obviously a lot better.
To be fair, they probably didn't have the budget to start off with, and that's why. But yeah, I don't. Obviously, yeah, same thing. I think Game of Thrones were like everyone thought the last seasons were. I didn't think they were amazing because they felt rushed, but I still didn't think they were bad.
Have you watched it again?
Not since the last season.
Because I hated it. That again, like everyone else, I was massively disappointed with that last season. Like I say, it was the best thing I'd ever watched. It'd been built up to that last season, and I was so buzzing for it, and I was so disappointed with even the battle up in the north against the White Walkers and stuff. I thought that was crap. It was so dark. I struggled to see a lot of what was going on, and I didn't like, you know, even the final battle at King's Landing. There's not really a fight. Daenerys just comes in with the dragon and starts setting shit on fire, and I was just like, that's a bit anticlimactic. You've got the Cersei's sellswords, remember, in the front of the wall, and you've got Jon Snow, the Northerners, and everyone else, and then they don't actually really fight. The dragon just comes in and destroys everything, and I was really disappointed. But then I went through and watched the whole of Game of Thrones with Ree when we first sort of got together.
What, from series 1?
Yeah, from series 1 up. And watching the last season with her, having not watched it since it came out, I really enjoyed it, because I thought in my head I wasn't expecting some massive thing, and when I went through and watched it again, I actually thought I did actually really enjoy it. But the first time, because there'd been so much hype, because we've been waiting for it for fucking ages, like everyone, I was massively disappointed. But watching it again, I did actually think it was quite good. So try again. Yeah,
maybe I'll give it that expectation versus reality in it. It's, yeah, you think it's going to be unreal because how much it was hyped up and that, and how good the seasons were before it. And I suppose it's always that it's that disappointment that it's over. It's maybe you're not even that annoyed about the show. You're just like, it's done. Now what? I just spent 8 years of my life fucking watching a TV show.
And what could they have done? They couldn't have pleased everyone.
No.
It's the last season of I wouldn't even say it's arguably. It is the best series ever made. It is the series that's generated the most revenue. Like, it is the biggest series ever made, right? What could they have done to please everyone? Nothing. Like, what I would have wanted to see, perhaps, what would have been my perfect thing, someone else would have found a problem with it. Do you know what I mean? So they were never going to please everyone, and it is that disappointment element as well that it's finished because, like you say, you watch it for so many years. It's fucked series though. Like, it's the first thing I think I've watched where your favourite characters die, your heroes die, the people that are the main characters actually die, which you don't see in a lot of series. Like Ned Stark, obviously dying in
Sean Bean dies in everything he's in.
Boromir and Lord of the Rings. No spoilers if someone, to be fair, I was about to say no spoilers. If someone hasn't watched Game of Thrones at this point, then that is on you.
What are you doing with your life?
That's on you. But the Red Wedding, when Rob and all of that, you just watch it and you're just like, what? Like,
yeah. So do you know with that, the first time through, I remember like, because I got to it quite late. I think I started watching it series 6 maybe. So like when series 6 was coming out.
You started watching, I swear, when we were at uni.
Yeah. So when series 6 was coming out, I started watching it and binge watched like all 5 seasons before that. I like a lot of the big things that happened, like the Red Wedding and that, because I was like just binge watching the shit out of it. It didn't feel like that climactic. When I watched it through the second time, which you were saying, it actually felt better because I was like, oh shit, like they're all gonna get killed here and that. But I think I watched the Red Wedding episode and then just watched the episode after straight away.
But that's the thing is, because you binged, say for someone who started watching it when it first came out, they've watched Robb Stark for 3 years, and then he dies at the end of. Whereas you binged it, if you binged it in like a week, it's then like, oh, he's, this has happened. But when you've watched it year on year, I think it's probably more like you're shocked. But yeah, it's crazy. But House of Dragons. So yeah, what do you think it's good?
Yeah, man, I think it's sick. I think it's.
You've not watched this week's episode though.
No, not yet.
I was disappointed with one thing in this week's episode. I won't spoil it for you, but you know the crab feeder geezer.
Yeah.
You would have seen him in 1
yeah,
or 2. I'm disappointed with something that happens in that, where you don't see basically a final battle between him and someone else. You just sort of see the aftermath. You don't actually see it happening. So I was disappointed in that, but it does look good. Have you seen that a lot of the younger characters are only in there for 5 episodes?
Yeah,
and then they're being recast when they get older because it's already jumped. You haven't watched episode 3 yet, but episode 3, this isn't really a spoiler, but it's gone like 2 years in the future.
Oh shit!
The King's got. Do you watch the previews? Because you'd have seen it in the preview. They released previews for next week's episode, and it was on the preview, so it's not really a spoiler. But the King's got a son, and his missus is pregnant with another, and it's gone like 2 years in the future. So that's already quite a big jump, and then they're going to do a bigger jump sort of later down. But I think Matt Smith and the actual King are still in it.
Oh really?
So I don't know how they're going to make. They're recasting
The
Rhaenyra
girls,
and the other
King's wife at the moment, isn't it? Is that?
Yeah, the King's wife. The Hand of the King's daughter. Yeah, that one. They're recasting them, but Matt Smith doesn't look like Matt Smith is a young-looking bloke. So if they're going 20
prosthetics and that, you can age because he's a fully grown man. You can age him, can't you? Whereas the kids, you can't make them look like 40.
But I'm looking forward to because I'm not a nerd. Like with Lord of the Rings, we can speak about the Lord of the Rings series too, but with Lord of the Rings, because I'm quite a nerd with it, I haven't read the books, but I've watched loads of stuff that explains origins of loads of Lord of the Rings stuff. So with the Lord of the Rings series, it's like I know a bit more about what is probably going to happen, and I know the characters, etc. Whereas with this, because I'm not a nerd and I haven't looked, obviously there's books, isn't there, by, what's his name, Martin?
Oh, George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
The Game of Thrones books.
Yeah. I haven't really read those or anything, so I don't know any of these characters, and I don't actually know. I have no idea what's going to happen. That's why it's exciting, because I don't know the history of, aside from what we've seen in Game of Thrones in the series about the Targaryen history, etc. I don't really know much, so I don't know really where it's going to go or what's going to happen.
Nah, I don't think I don't think they'll go all the way up to the point of like the Mad King. Because it's been renewed for a second season already, isn't it? So maybe they will in the second season.
I want them to though, because when they first announced the prequel, what I wanted to see was Ned and Robert and their war against the Mad King. That's what I wanted. So hopefully it does lead it, even if it maybe they do 2-3 seasons. Hopefully it leads up to that point, because that I think would be a really enjoyable watch. Seeing how it actually, because we know a bit about how it started, etc. But seeing how it started and how it ends, etc.
Yeah, it will be quite good. But it's like you saying about like the original ending being disappointing and that, because that George R.R. Martin who wrote the books, he tried to get HBO to do 13 seasons. He was like minimum 13 seasons. But wasn't it, I don't know if this is an actual fact, I have to fact check, get Jamie to pull it up. Jamie doesn't exist, by the way, there's no one there. But he... So one of the directors of the last couple of seasons, I think they got like a Star Wars job or something in Disney, and like their contracts were up, and they didn't know, like they couldn't get another big director in to do it or something, so it was all pretty rushed, and that's like the production value of it wasn't.
The trouble is though as well with something like that is, if you're basing the series off a book series that's finished, then that's fine. But he was still writing books while they were doing while the series were coming out, and they got to the point where they went past what he had written and had creative control over what they were going to do, but that might not actually match up with what he's writing in the books. Like with Lord of the Rings and stuff, those books are finished. The Hobbit was finished. The book series was finished before the films came out, and he's written Tolkien. He's written prequels like the Silmarillion or Slimerian or something, if you've heard of that, and all of the stuff that he's written is finished, so it's easy to make series and make films, etc. But when are you going to watch the Lord of the Rings one?
Yeah, I just completely forgot it was coming out, to be fair, so I will get it again and watch it. Don't know, busy Matt. Yeah, I heard the first time I watched Lord of the Rings was with you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
In my second year house.
Yeah. Well, do you know? That's the lie. I might cut this bit out. First ever time I watched Lord of the Rings, I was trying to get laid. I was trying to lose my virginity.
What? And that was your go-to? This was actually only a couple of years ago. He's lying.
This was last week, and then we were just talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, I've never seen it." And she was like, "Oh, I've got them." I was like, "We should watch them." And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." Like, "Oh, come round. You watch it was. It's a Gollum and chill." Obviously, didn't watch much of the film. At that point, I was too busy trying to put my slick moves on. But yeah, and obviously a bit of a hiatus, and then watched a review at uni. Director's cut and all.
Yeah, that's the only way to go. I don't watch that regular cut. They're like 45 minutes longer, the director's cuts. There's a lot in there that isn't in the actual ones. But I watched it. Rhea had never seen it before she met me either.
Was you trying to lose your virginity as well?
That's been it. But we used to get back, like at uni, we'd get back from nights out and stick them on. And then eventually I was like, right, we should actually watch these sober because they're very good. I'm a big fan. The Hobbits as well. I was a big fan of those. People moaned about those, but I thought they were quality, to be fair. Very good. I assume you've seen.
Yeah, I've watched all the Hobbits. I think that Martin Freeman guy's sick. He's a sick actor. What has he been in? He's been in a couple of big films. The UK Office, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a few, yeah.
Oh, what do you US Office or UK Office?
Yes.
Yeah, same, 100%.
I feel like people, just to be fashionable or different, will go, "Oh no, it's the UK one." At the end of the day, if the UK one had made 10 series, perhaps it would be better. But the fact is, there's 2.
Yeah.
So there's only 4 or 5 episodes in each series as well.
Is it 3? I think 2 or 3.
What?
The UK one. Not
I think it's 2, but there's only a few episodes as well, and there's not enough to say that that's better.
Yeah.
I found the American one hilarious. Like Dwight, I find him hilarious. Michael, I find very funny. Creed.
Oh, Creed. Do you know that's his name in real life?
I remember looking at that. When he puts ink, he dyes his hair with ink, and he's like, "What's going on, man? Hey, dude."
My fellow young people or something. Yeah. But the UK, so like Ricky Gervais set up the whole US office. He cast.
Why you wouldn't just continue the UK one?
Maybe it just didn't get renewed for enough seasons. The thing is, I don't think it weren't popular. Like, you look at In-Betweeners. In-Betweeners only got 3 seasons.
Yeah.
That's fucking like, I still quote In-Betweeners today.
Everyone does.
I quoted it when we was in the shops about 10 minutes ago. I was like, Christ, no, I've not made of money.
Yeah, me last week.
Last week, sorry, yes.
Yeah, no, that is, for our age group, I wonder if it's the younger age group as well, but for our particular age group, In-Betweeners was the root of like all banter. At school, at uni, so much of it was In-Betweeners related. Even the films, the 2 films that would come out as sick as well. And most of the banter we had at uni was fucking In-Betweeners, I swear.
Just quoting.
Just quoting it constantly.
Christ, we must have been annoying.
Yeah. People must have looked at us and just thought, wow.
What fucking saddos.
Yeah. But that's what, you can bleep the name. He'll know who he is though. You know what you were just saying about you're trying to lose your virginity watching Lord of the Rings. When I was around his gaff, I would sometimes go back after nights out with them because he'd be sleeping at his missus and his room was always free. And went back, all you'd hear in there is In-Betweeners all the fucking time. Right. Literally, even before they started, they actually got together. Their door would shut and it would just be In-Betweeners constantly. And I guess it worked for him, so hey ho. Oh, he loves it though.
Should he wake you off with clogs?
Yeah, I think that's enough about TV.
Yeah, this has turned into a TV review.
Do you watch EastEnders?
Fucking no, shit is.
That's the only. Well, if we're talking about hierarchy, Game of Thrones, EastEnders is only slightly below. Mate, longest ever soap.
Yeah, but
real world issues.
My mum watches it, and like any time I go back home, and it's on, I just fucking. It actually like. It's so bad, it winds me up watching it. I'm just, the acting is so bad.
It's despair. But the thing is, I don't think you'll find a single EastEnders fan who won't say this. It is shit. But because you've watched it for so long, like, I agree, it's crap. Like, if I didn't watch it and hadn't always watched it and turned it on, I'd just be like, nope, turn it right off. Because I've watched it since I was a kid. And a lot of people, like, Ree's mum and dad watch it. And we'll just sit there and be like, this is fucking shit, isn't it? But because you've watched it for years, you can't just one day go, well, not watching that anymore. Do you know what I mean?
You can.
You can't.
You literally can.
No, man, you can't. I'll never stop watching it. As long as it's there, I'll watch it 100%.
Oh god, it is dreadful. Like, it actually gives me a headache thinking about how bad it is. Like, the quality of acting, I think my fucking year 7 drama class, when I made up a play about like gun crime or something. Do you remember those like shitty plays?
Stop. Yeah. Think. Listen.
Oh fuck! I can't. I'm distracted now. You got me on one about EastEnders.
Yeah, that's enough about TV. I think the 10 people that tune in don't tune in to listen to us speak about TV shows.
Different podcasts. Let's have some deeper conversation.
What you got?
House Dragon's actually on there. One thing actually we was chatting about before this, I mentioned it to you, saying I wanted to speak about it, is the fact that like defining, especially this day and age, defining what a businessman is. Like I was having like a discussion with someone, and we was talking about it, and basically because he was talking about me being a PT and whatnot, and we got into the discussion of Joe Wicks, and he was like, "Why don't you do this, that?" And I was like, I don't think Joe Wicks is a PT. Well, he's not a PT. Anyway, and the thing is now he's quite removed from all of that, like the actual body coach brand. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't like. It's if you was to get a program, you're not getting a program from Joe Wicks. You're getting a program from someone that works in his office. He is now just the face of the brand, probably as much as like Gordon Ramsay is to his restaurants.
That's natural though.
Yeah.
You can't like think how when he was a PT, because he did he went to our uni, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he did at our graduation, I think it was our year, he did a speech about his journey and whatnot, and he cried up on the stand speaking about how hard it's been. And he was actually a PT back in the day, and he said like he used to, when he was trying to grow his brand, he used to do PT sessions in like Richmond Park, and he would literally get up early in the morning, hand out flyers outside Richmond Station. He'd get literally like 2 people down for a session. You know those ones that go on in the park, you get on a mat and he does some fitness. So he was obviously a PT back in the day. He's obviously grown the brand, and that's natural. Like you can't when he had 5 clients, I'm sure he could write the plans himself.
Yeah.
When you've got thousands, naturally he can't. He is going to be removed from it.
I'm not, and that's any like kind of not part of the point, but this is the discussion me and guy got into because he's an unbelievable businessman. Like he's well clued up about that, and this guy that I was chatting to was like, "No, he's not." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he was like, "Oh, he's just got a team of people around him telling him what to do." And I was like, well, he had to get himself to that position to start off with. And yes, so does fucking like every fucking successful CEO and builds a team around him. Basically,
He said in that speech that he gave, he was talking about literally from the beginning doing it himself, waking up early, handing out leaflets, doing sessions in the park where only a couple of, like he ran it at a loss, he wasn't making any proper money. And he built it up to the point where then people do see it as a business that they want to maybe invest time in or help him with, etc. So you've got to get to that point. You can't just go, if you build a decent team around you and then don't work hard to get to a certain point, you're not going to have a successful business, you know what I mean?
and that's, I think when I was talking to this guy, like it almost seemed like his opinion was a bit of, I could be making an assumption here, but it was like, because he's not your classic guy that works up in the city, or man or woman that works up in the city, wears fucking suit 24/7, working in a bank or whatever, you can't be a businessman. You're like, and because then on the same note, he brought up some like the CEO of JP Morgan or something, and he was like, oh yeah, but he's classed as a businessman. But then in that same breath, he was like, and he's got a team around him that tells him what to do and that. So I was just like, fucking, it's I think it's like a very outdated vision of what is. You look at a lot of like entrepreneurs now, well, a lot of the ones I follow, and that most of them aren't if you just say like back in the day, paint a picture of someone that does business or successful business and that, most of them aren't like that. There's a guy I follow called Alex, I want to say it's Hormozy, I might be pronouncing his second name wrong. Geezer's a billionaire, he wears fucking tank top and shorts 24/7.
That's natural. Rich people typically will dress like I read a quote. I can't remember the quote exactly, but it wasn't even a quote. It was someone I was speaking to, a client of ours who's really, really rich, and he was just like, "I have money to wear whatever I want," and he was like, "Look at how I'm dressed, unbranded top, just something comfortable." He was just like, the guys that have a Gucci belt and a Louis Vuitton this and this, that, and the other, they're not rich. They've not got savings. They're wearing that stuff to try and look the part. And it's the same as in London. There is very much a view that you're only a businessman if you work in a corporate office in London in a suit. If you go to Liverpool Street, half the blokes walking around in 3-piece suits looking dapper with their fucking hairspray and working recruitment or working sales. Like, you're not a businessman. You literally work in recruitment, you work in sales. You look at companies like Google and shit, which are innovative, and they let their employees come. Innocent Smoothie is another one that's very well known for, they let their employees come to work in whatever they want. They've got chill areas. They've got like fucking beanbag areas in their offices, making wherever you feel comfortable working. You can go and work at the desk, or you can work on a beanbag, or you can chill, or you can do whatever you want. And they don't have to wear suits. They wear whatever they want. They have a different office, which looks very different from like a corporate office. And they're massive companies. Google, Innocent Smoothie, like, they're massive. Being a businessman doesn't mean you wear a suit and tie. Like, I go to work we get freedom at my office, and some of the guys do come in suits. I come in a polo shirt and jeans and like loafers. I wouldn't wear sort of trainers, but a lot of the guys do wear suits. I sort of choose not to, because I just think, what's the point? If I've got a meeting with someone externally, perhaps I'll wear a suit to go and have that meeting, but typically I don't. I
just think that's it. It's that vision of like, you're so far removed from it, in a sense, like, you can't know how to market, or you can't know how to run a team or something like that, because you don't have an office job, you haven't worked for a big bank or a big corporation. It's like, well, actually no, if anything, you could argue that these people are more, I don't know if entrepreneurial and businessman is like crossover, but either way, you could argue these people are more inclined than the person that works in the office now, because they've built it up from fuck all. They've actually had to go out there, learn how to market themselves, learn how to build a team, and do it successfully. Whereas you walk into that corporate world, the infrastructure's there already. Like, you're not really having to do fuck all. But it's, like you said, just because you got a 3-piece suit on, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he must know what he's talking about. And
entrepreneur can literally be about anything. Like, being an entrepreneur isn't necessarily business. If you're a PT, say you set up a gym and then set up another gym and then set up a line of gyms basically and made a fortune, that's an entrepreneur. You've set up a business that's taken off the ground. If someone wanted to set up a fucking film studio, like, and they do it, that's not business, but you're still an entrepreneur for doing that. But yeah, so like, I think it's a very old school view, and it's that what they can't comprehend, they don't see as business, because to them and to a lot of older people, a businessman is someone who works up in the city, whether it's London, Manchester, whatever, a big city, for a big corporate company where you wear a suit and everything's very formal, and they can't comprehend what a businessman can be like. If you look at people like KSI, Logan Paul, they are businessmen in a sense, because they started off as YouTubers, and people like who you're talking about will look at that and be like, this geezer who makes videos on YouTube, like, he's not a businessman. But they set up clothing lines which make them a fortune. They set up businesses, they invest in businesses. KSI and Logan have just done that Prime thing. And I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Prime already existed. They then just bought the shares and marketed it. It was a failed brand. It was just a failed energy drink brand in the States. They've then bought the shares and put their name to it and got it out there. It's not as if they've manufactured this new drink. But they are entrepreneurs. Like, they own businesses. They make a fucking fortune from YouTube and then invest money elsewhere in clothing brands, in different businesses, etc. Like Logan has a podcast, etc. They are businessmen, and they probably do have advisors, because if you look at someone like KSI, for example, not that he's similar to Joe Wicks, but he started off as a fucking idiotic teenager making FIFA videos in his bedroom. You do then need advice on how to turn the money you're getting there into a bigger thing. So he probably does have advisors, but that doesn't mean that he's not... Without him, the business doesn't happen, regardless whether he has advisors or not. Without him getting himself out there and having a following, etc., the business doesn't happen. And I feel like probably the type of people you're talking about can't comprehend that an idiotic teenager in their room who plays Fortnite or does that sort of shit is a businessman, but they become businessmen because they invest their money and set things up.
Yeah, so it's like they can't comprehend that they could actually know more than them about something, because it's like, oh, what do you know? But these people have to be smart. At the end of the day, like KSI, he might have started off like that, but when things start to gain traction, you'd be like, he would have had to seek out or say yes to the right people to then carry on building the brand. Granted, it might have been slow, but it would have had to happen like that. Is because if he didn't, he wouldn't be the brand he is today. So, and he's learned how to do all this stuff. It's actually something about the people that can't comprehend. You know Mr. Beast? YouTuber. He does all those weird where it's just like 100 people in a room, everything and that. He was on Joe Rogan, and he was saying about his mum still doesn't understand. Like, so he dropped out of, was it high school or college in America? One or the other, to pursue YouTube full time. His mum fucking went off on him like, this ain't a career, and this is a big, like, a lot of people will look at that like, get a real fucking job, this ain't a career and that. And apparently his mum still doesn't understand, quite fully grasp. He's a multi-millionaire, all from and that's what, like, he's learned how to do it by himself. And I think the way
they just don't get it, and because it's an older generation, they don't get that. Like, how many people who are YouTubers and have made, maybe not YouTubers anymore, but have made themselves prominent via doing that? I'm pretty sure every one of their parents would have said to them, right, you've got to stop this hobby, this filming, playing games, filming, etc. You need to go and get a job, you need to get a degree, you need to go and do your A-levels or something. Every one of their parents would have said that. And on that same brush, millions of people probably try and do it and fail, and it doesn't work. But you need a bit of luck to get there. You have that one video that kicks off and gets tons of views, and then you've got to have the right people around you to actually then build that into a brand. But all of their parents would have sort of advised them against it. And
I think that's the same thing as well. It's like they don't see, because they don't understand it. They don't see that sometimes it's a long game. Because fair enough, it is that one video that goes viral, but it's the 500 videos before that where you're trying to fine tune everything, and that makes that one video go viral. And I think, like, even say if you was to take any business, for example, a lot, obviously it did happen in that, but I think it's a generational thing in a sense. I'd say our age and younger, a lot more inclined to go try and start something themselves, or have a bit more freedom with their work and stuff like that. Whereas it was, or our parents' generation, it was, you leave school, you get a job, you fucking do that job. You don't try and go against the grain. Don't try and do. Obviously, it did happen, but don't try and do anything with it because that's not safe. Like, you guarantee work, you get employment, and that. Like, as much as I love my mum, like when I was set up this job, when I shut down my gym, and got this other job, her first question was, and it comes out of a place of care, I completely get that, but her first question was, what's the salary? And I was like, I'm gonna do it by myself still. Like, I don't want that salary. Like, I'm confident in myself that I can do it. Whereas it's like, I think they see it as in, oh shit, no, like, you need a secure salary. But to me, I don't want that. Like, I'd much rather be working for myself, run like my own business. And granted, it's not on the same scale as like a multi-million-pound business, but it is still my business at the end of the day, and I get to push it in whatever direction I want. And yeah, it is. I think it is quite hard for sometimes like the older generations to comprehend.
It's the same. It's the same as like OnlyFans. What we're speaking about, like, people laugh at OnlyFans and the idea of posting like nudes of yourself and getting paid for it. We laugh at it, and yeah, people have those weird fetishes, but some of the money that these people make is fucking ridiculous. Like, Olivia Attwood did Olivia Attwood, she was on Love Island. I think that's her.
Yeah.
She did a documentary series where she looked at, like, I think the porn industry and OnlyFans and shit like that, and she came across a woman who literally got paid by men to degrade them. So men who get off on being called like a fucking little worm and a pathetic this, that, and the other, they'll pay her to just insult them and put them down and ridicule them. And as crude as it sounds, they're probably then fucking masturbating over the phone or over the video call or whatever it is, because it's not like a face-to-face thing; it's online. But that's what they get off. And you'd laugh at that. Like, if someone said to you, "Oh, what do you do?" OnlyFans, you'd laugh. But then the amount of money that they can make is fucking ridiculous. And it is the internet. And it's online, and what you said a minute ago about our generation are much more likely to do something like that or succeed with something. It's because when our parents were growing up, there wasn't internet, there wasn't online activity, online marketing wasn't a thing. Marketing was putting something in a newspaper or putting something on a billboard or getting an advert on TV or the radio, and they didn't have that. And so many younger people who set up startup businesses like Joe Wicks, etc., like who we're talking about, KSI, etc., they build their brand via social media following, via YouTube following, via online things. They're not putting billboards up or ads in the newspaper or ads on the radio. KSL will get ads on the radio for his music and stuff, but they're using the internet as a tool, and that's what some obviously older people can't comprehend. Like, I was just literally speaking to a family friend yesterday who they own a business and they've only just set up an Instagram account. And I literally said to them last night, like, why did you never do it? And they were just like, what they said is, we were happy with our client base. However, we've now noticed that our client base is an aging one. It's older people. They're an accountancy firm, so they've got loads of dentists and people like that, businesses like that on their books. And they were just like, well, it's an aging client base. The clients are going to start retiring, shutting down their businesses. We're going to start losing clients because a lot of our clients have been with us for fucking years and they're older school people. And they were just like, we obviously have now realised we need a newer way, a fresher way of getting in new clients. And they've only just gone on social media now, where if they had gone on there 10, 15 years ago, they probably would have brought in a lot of clients. But it's that old school way of thinking, where some people can't. They obviously have adapted to the new way, but how we got onto the topic saying about he's not a businessman, etc., that they can't comprehend that what a powerful tool the internet is and what you can actually get by making fucking videos online, by marketing your business online. I literally said on the podcast the other day, or I don't know if I said it to just you, but I made a deal last month and that person had seen us on TikTok. That's not us advertising on TikTok. I think, like I said, one of our clients had done a review or something. But that's how powerful it is. Someone's come to us via TikTok and bought our service. If TikTok wasn't a thing, that client never comes to us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's maybe where it comes from. Like I said, I think a lot of it comes from a point of caring, where when it comes from family, obviously, but it's the fact that you don't understand it because, like you said, it wasn't around and it was so much harder to make it back then. It's like, oh fuck, trying to make it, just secure something. But nowadays there is opportunity is tenfold, and it is. it's not easy. It's not easy to make it, but there's a lot more opportunity to make it. You still have to put a lot of hard graft in that, like we were saying the other week about putting work in. But yeah, because like it is the internet.
And like you say, they're not hoping when they say, "Oh, you can't do that as a career," or "You can't make." They're not sitting there thinking, "Fuck, I hope he fails." They are sitting there thinking, "I can't comprehend how you're going to be successful in this. Like, I think you should do something else." And what they think is better is to get a normal job or market in this way off of online and do this, that, and the other. And they just think that's the better option. But the younger generation coming through know that it's not. Like, they know how, and a lot of companies will, I think all companies will adapt to that way of having an online presence. The ones that don't currently, they will slowly but surely move over as they realise. Maybe if it's younger people coming through the ranks and getting more senior positions and implementing those things, or it's just the older guys thinking, actually, I do see that there's a bit of a trend here now.
Yeah, well, it's like evolve or go extinct, really, innit?
Yeah.
Even if you look at like old businesses, if you were to look at like banks, for example, granted they'll have different marketing strategies and that, but they will do a lot more. It's even like everything's done in all your mobile banking and things like that. I only just got my mum set up on mobile banking, and fuck me, was that painful trying to do that. But her generation, yeah, it's dead. It's not dead, but it's not. It's like a kind of a lost cause. But they'll invest a lot into doing these things because it's the younger generations that are coming through that it's so prominent on. And yeah, if you don't keep up with the times, then you are just going to fall behind. It's even down to little things like I'll use my mum as an example again. 'Cause she's an absolute fucking like tech phobe. She gets along. She does absolutely fine with it, but it's little things like if I want to order something off Amazon, if she wants to order something off Amazon, I have to do it for her because she doesn't know how to do it. It is the most simple fucking thing in the world. But obviously to us, it is very simple because we grew up.
Not even really at the age where she should be finding these things difficult. People in their 40s and 50s.
Oh yeah, loads of people are really good. Loads of people are really good.
It's more like the older than that, because I was going to tell a story about my gran, which she's obviously in her like mid 80s now, so obviously she is from the older generation where tech is so much newer to her than it is to like our parents' age. But she has like an iPad thing where she can use Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and shit to obviously communicate with us, and she just can't comprehend how to use it. Like, and I don't get, because she can use a computer, and if she was on Facebook on a computer, she'd be able to use it. We'd be able to chat. But on this iPad thing, and she's had it for a few years now, and it's funny that older generation, because they're not idiots, they're, intelligent people, but just because it's so different from what they've been used to, they can't get their head around it. And even though she can use it on a computer, her computer's quite old, but like she can use it. When she has the
back.
Yeah, I think so. Or it was, certainly. I don't know if she still has the same one. But I remember when I was growing up as a kid, they obviously had the bigger computers. But for some reason, when she has this like iPad thing in front of her, she just can't really use it. Like, I'll send her a message on Facebook on her birthday, and she just sends a thumbs up back. So she knows how to. She clicks on the thumbs up thing, but she can't go in there for some reason and type a message. She can't comprehend how to do it. When all you've got to do is tap the keyboard as if it was a computer, but the fact is it's not a computer. And then sometimes she'll say to mum like, "Oh, the iPad, it doesn't work. The iPad's broken or whatever," and it'll be something as simple as she needs to turn the Wi-Fi back on, or it's run out of data. Because in South Africa, Wi-Fi in a lot of places isn't like England. You buy data and then you stick it in the Wi-Fi thing, but once that data then runs out, you have to top it up. So it'll be something as simple as that. The data's run out, or the app needs to update because it's the old version of something, and she just can't get her head around doing it. And both my grandparents are very intelligent. Like my granddad, my grandpa on that side, he was an accountant, and he was the first one at his company to bring a computer in back in the day. They weren't using them at all, and he was just like those big fucking things. He was the first one to implement technology in that company he worked for, and he was like, "Look, it can do X, Y, Z." So he was tech savvy, but even some of the later tech before he passed away was a bit like he couldn't hack it either. And to us, like you said, it's so simple because we've grown up using it. Like, I can't fathom how they're so confused by it. But if it's something that they've never used in their life, and then they're handed a smartphone where they're used to having the fucking brick, they'd just be like, what do I do with this? Do you know what I mean?
maybe your nan just doesn't like you, Bill. She does know how to reply. She's just...
she sends thumbs up, not thumbs down.
She's just like, oh, this fucking kid won't leave me alone. Thumbs up. Yeah, so like, my parents, like, both of them are... Lee, that he's better with it than my mum, but they're both pretty useless. But I think saying that, you was like, your granddad was the first one to bring a computer in. You think how fast technology has evolved. Even, like, we've grown up with it evolving very quickly, but even our parents, like, the first computer would have come out, and then a few years later, that would have been fucking old news. A few years later, that's old news. Whereas we've grown up just adapting with it. So yeah, like my mum used to have an office job and she used to work on computers all the time. And she was probably quite into it then. And I remember when I was younger and we'd have like the family computer, they'd know how to use all of that.
And it had like pinball.
Yeah, pinball, solitaire. Yeah. But yeah, and they were good with it then. But you think your first phone compared to what your phone can do now is mad.
My first phone was one of those early 2000s
Nokia.
Nokias with Space Raiders and Snake and shit. On the technology point, what I find funny as well is I watched, the film Love Actually, Christmas film, right? I'd never seen that before. I love Christmas films. For whatever reason, I'd never seen that until a couple of years ago, and Reece said, oh, fuck it, it's the best Christmas film, let's watch it. And even watching that came out, early 2000s? Or was it 90s maybe?
Nah, it's early 2000s.
Early 2000s, right? In that film, and in a lot, like in the office scenes, they don't have computers, they have paper. And that's within our lifetime. Like when my mum, obviously my mum's a teacher, she didn't used to have like a computer in a fucking classroom. The kids didn't used to have anything else. It was just pencil and paper type thing. And even stuff like that, you look back on scenes of what an office would be like. Now you've got Macs or fancy computers. Everyone's got 2 screens. But looking back at that, people had paperwork and files and shit like that. And even watching that, I was just like, fuck me. Like, you do forget how far we've come, like you just said, in such a short period of time. And I said it to like Ree's dad, and he was just like, yeah, fuck, because he's a bit older as well, he's in his 60s, and he was just like, yeah, fuck me, like I didn't use a computer for years. All of my jobs was paper and paperwork and files and stuff. And he files stuff at their office now because he's like, oh, if the computer breaks, that's it, your work's gone. We've got to have a hard copy as well. And I was like, well, that's what I said, it's going to be on the cloud. And then I say to him, what if your office burns down, or haven't touched wood, obviously, that filing's all gone, whereas it's on the internet and he doesn't know what the fucking cloud is, like people who can't, he's just like, what even is that? But yeah, stuff like that, I find it mad. Like people I couldn't imagine going to work and sitting there and doing my work on paper. You know what I mean? Like, while I work in sales, imagine sales back in the day, it would have been they had phones at their desk, like a phone that you pick up, dial the number, whereas now we use an app and you just click on the person and call, and you wearing a headset, it's calling through your computer, etc. But yeah, how far we've moved even in our lifetime is fucking crazy.
It's even, I think actually like our age have experienced, I'd say around our age, like give and take a few years either side, have experienced the most of it. Because I remember, it's like when we was in school, there would be the computer room, and maybe there'd be and maybe there'd be like some laptops, if like none of them ever fucking worked, but
very rarely.
Laptop trolley. Now, like I speak to my little sister, and there's fucking like they just have iPads. Every class has iPads, like multiple iPads for every class, and every kid knows how to use them. Whereas I feel like when we was going through school, we had the computers, and then things got better and better progressively.
Like in primary school, we had ICT once a week, and we would go to a separate room. Whereas then, obviously, in secondary school, you had a few computer rooms so that multiple classes could have
just
IT.
Just the sheer scale of the school, though.
But yeah, that is mad to think. And Ree's little sister's in 6th form now. So over the last few years, she's been in like year 9, 10, 11, etc. And yeah, some of the stuff she says, the same thing about having iPads and technology. And I guess they went through that whole pandemic period where they weren't going to school, they were literally learning at home off an iPad or off a laptop, which is unheard of. Can you imagine if the pandemic had happened before technology?
Oh mate,
they wouldn't have shut down. The country wouldn't have gone into a lockdown. It would have just continued because you actually couldn't still function the world back then on the technology they had. But as technology gets better as well and more advanced, it will keep changing. Because that's the thing, like we've just said, in our lifetime, it's come on leaps and bounds. Like, we've experienced the most change. Because naturally, as technology gets better, you improve things, and then because you've improved something, you can improve it again, and you can improve it again, and you can invest more in infrastructure and build things up more. So stuff's going to change. But have you ever, on the same topic, have you ever like looked at, say, a TV show that predicts what the future's going to be like in 2020? And no, not quite like that, but like they'll go 100 years into the future, and it's always like flying cars and shit like that. But that sort of thing hasn't. I guess we have hovercrafts, but it's not advanced to what people think. Like I read something about, it was an article about what people had predicted. It was like a school class. They predicted what the future would look like in 20 years and came back and looked at it, and everyone said like flying cars, this, that and the other. And we've not cracked that one yet.
No, I think that was the flying car and that it's more of a fantasy.
Yeah.
It's like,
But it could happen.
yeah. But then you say on that same token, it's people living in space. It's very quickly becoming a reality. Like trying to, like Elon Musk wants to colonize. Is it Mars or the moon? Mars, isn't it?
He shouldn't colonise things. That's what the Queen got bad rap for.
Fucking social justice. Watch last week's episode. Yeah, if you want to find out. But yeah, he's like, they know how to do it. They know how to terraform, but it's just there isn't the capacity to do it at the moment to get to Mars, and you got to figure out to keep people alive long enough to get to Mars and be able of doing it. But commercial space flights is a thing now, isn't it? I think.
Like going up to space.
Yeah, you go out to space and come back down. It's like it's literally.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be mad. I'd scare the shit out of me though, because it's not like going on a plane. But
It's quite expensive as well.
yeah, I think it's. I read somewhere once with SpaceX, or was it? Was Virgin Galactica? Richard Branson. Richard Branson's brand. Is it Virgin Galaxy or Virgin?
Yeah. Virgin Airways.
Yeah, it's like $200,000 a ticket basically for like a 15-minute space. Yeah, one of the companies has done it or does do it. But yeah, like saying that predicting the future. Although flying cars, I do think that's a bit of like it's a fan because practically though.
And practically, it could happen.
Yeah,
Because think of the technology we have now. Are you telling me it's probably just no one wants to? Because what's the point?
Yeah.
But it could be done. We've got spaceships that can go to fucking space and shit. They could make a flying car. We've got electric cars. You know, it probably could happen. It's just what is the point?
But you practically from that point of view, it's when you're in the air, you got like it will have to be automated, wouldn't it? Because people just wouldn't people could barely drive on the roads.
Wheelie's fucking dad's car. You know, you couldn't go into certain airspace and stuff. So yeah, there'd be no point. But that is what everyone looks. And it is.
There'd be a lot of barriers to entry for it. But yeah, the way technology goes on, and it is just, we're going... I actually saw a really interesting fact about that the other day, actually. So the jump from, like, civilizations using, is it bronze or copper to steel took longer than it did from steel to the nuclear bomb. So it just shows how much, like, since kind of these sort of technologies have been invented, how much faster things have gone. Yeah. It's like over the course of history, the space from going from fucking beating each other, killing each other's swords to being able to drop a nuclear bomb was less than it was. They went from using two different types of metal.
Yeah, it is crazy. You look at anything though, like trains, they started off being like coal powered and then obviously electric, etc. And like everything, now we spoke in a previous episode about driverless trains. As technology improves, everything else improves with it. Because if the technology doesn't improve, you can't then really improve things because you might not have the information or the necessary resources to be able to do it. But once you're there and once the technology is good enough, everything just gets better and better and better quickly. And as technology gets better, it will just be faster and faster and faster. The changes and stuff. So I do get why, in that aspect, what we just said, like we've experienced the most change in our lifetime. So what got us onto the topic, speaking about like our grandparents, they went probably for 60 years with a few models of TV and a few models of mobile phones and a few models of computers, and now in a space of 20 years there's like fucking hundreds of models constantly changing. So because you said about online banking and stuff, and a lot of old people don't use online banking. Like Ree's dad doesn't. He only got it a couple of years ago, didn't he?
Because he couldn't be trusted.
I don't know what it was, but he's an oddball, isn't he?
Yeah. Maybe we're doing an episode dedicated. Get him on as a guest.
He's literally in his mid-20s. No, I don't have internet banking, mate. Can I pay you in cash?
Yeah.
Every fucking day. Can I pay you in cash? No. And he used to get his mum to transfer me money when he owed me money because she had internet banking and he didn't.
Maybe, that's just the individual basis that he can't be trusted with internet banking. Or fucking the episode that he was buying loads of shit off the...
Yeah. First Instagram, now no internet banking.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
But I got a picture of him like being told you're not allowed to have it. That his parents take his phone. Fucking, you better not be using those apps.
They didn't let him bring his car to uni either at first.
Because they thought he was going to crash it or something.
Well, yeah. Ditches do exist.
Ditches do exist. I had a couple of crashes at uni. Obviously, all not my fault, but...
Typical. Whose fault was it?
The other driver, obviously.
It's the fate when it's Jesus take the wheel.
Right. Well, I'm getting pretty hungry. So,
Yeah, we're going to order a fat Chinese.
we are. Looking forward to it. So, yeah. That's it. Episode 5.
Episode 5
Wrapped up. Cheers again.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it, guys, if you stuck around for the rest of the episode.
Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe to YouTube. Watch us on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. We didn't say that in the last episode.
No, we didn't. I'll tack it on. I'll just edit this bit onto it again. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time.